Franchise.
Get in like the Marines.
Franchise.
Yeah.
Franchise.
We're in.
Franchise. Franchise the damn thing.
The film Alien Resurrection. Hey Ripley, I heard you ran into these things before?
That's right.
Wow, man. So what did you do?
I died.
And scene.
Welcome to Franchise Addicts, a podcast covering every film in a given franchise. My name is Luke.
And I'm Chris.
And this week we are covering the fourth film in the Alien franchise, Alien Resurrection.
It's back.
Chris, we have finally completed the quadrilogy.
The quadrilogy is complete, and man, did it end on a wild note.
They definitely didn't need to make any more Alien movies after this. They finished it up. It is signed, sealed, delivered. This is the complete quadrilogy. They ended on such a good note.
Such a feeling of completion here. No need to have stopped at Alien 3, where everything was clearly wrapped up in a nice little package. No! Money needs to be made.
Gotta make another Alien movie. Gotta bring the most important character back out of nowhere, even though this movie was initially not written with Ellen Ripley in mind as a character in this movie. We get 1997's Alien Resurrection, a movie directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet and written by Joss Whedon, two men who were the main creators behind this movie that have very differing opinions as to the success of how this movie was put together. Chris, I don't think we have any different opinions about the success of this movie. I think we both think this is a absolute stinker. It is it's a tough look for the three movies that precede it that this is connected in any way.
It's not great. It's got some moments that are fun, and but it's ultimately, no, it's not great. You've got the very French director. Tell me, what did he do prior to this? I don't know this. Do you know this director at all? Jean-Pierre Jeunet?
So I don't necessarily know what he did before this. I'm sure he was highly regarded in the French film industry. I do know that this is the first U.S. movie that he was asked to work on.
This is my debut.
So this is him coming across the pond, working on a big U.S. blockbuster. But like the directors before, we've got Fincher, auteur, highly respected for a lot of his other work after Alien. We've got Ridley Scott, considered one of the best directors, definitely one of the best blockbuster directors.
And we have the master. And we have the master of all films, the greatest director of all time in all of our opinions. It's not even like an opinion, really. It's just known. James Cameron.
So we've got two successful directors and one submarine pilot.
Genius among men.
But, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, he can direct movies. He directed a movie in the 2000s that, although it was a foreign film, I believe it was nominated for multiple Oscars and is largely considered to be one of the best movies of the early 2000s. That is the movie Amelie.
Ah, yes. I was surprised to learn that he was the director. So this guy, he has success. He's got his chops. Maybe they're just not alien friendly.
And that seems to be the opinion of the writer, Joss Whedon, who, again, in his own right, a very successful writer.
Yeah.
He is coming off of the hit show on TV, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. Did you know, Luke, that I was actually on E! Entertainment? I was on the channel. When I was in 1998, they interviewed me. I went on vacation to LA. I saw people with E! Entertainment cameras walking around. Me and my friend I said, let's look like don't have anything to do. And they found me. They came up to us and they interviewed me about the hot stars in Hollywood at the time, which were, of course, the Dawson's Creek Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I talked all about on E! Entertainment, you might be able to find it, how hot Sarah Michelle Gellar was, and then I had pictures of her in my room. That's a true story. E! Entertainment. Chris loved Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, I mean, you were a little bit more age appropriate to
Yes,
fall
I'm
in love
old.
with her. I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Yes, I was.
But-
Yeah.
There were reruns, and boy oh boy, did teenage Luke also love him some Sarah Michelle Gellar.
It's great stuff.
When I finally became age appropriate in order to fall in love with her.
I'm old. Is the point of the story.
But back to it, Joss Whedon is a successful writer. He wrote, again, Buffy. He wrote Firefly, not as successful, but definitely a cult classic that people refer back to all the time. It was a single season of television about it's cowboys in space, and they are also space pirates, very similar to half of the characters in this movie that are the crew of the Betty. The crew of the Firefly are relatively similar and written a lot more successfully, I would say, than the characters in this movie. And then Joss Whedon then went on to write one of the highest grossing movies of all time with the first Avengers movie.
You may have heard of it.
Yeah.
The Avengers, people.
So
He's
this, I mean,
successful.
these two guys, in their own rights, are very, very successful. Jean-Pierre thinks that he kind of nailed this movie. He went into it with his idea of what he was going to bring to the Alien franchise, thought he hit it out of the park.
This was perfect.
And, he added the weird stuff where he wanted the weird stuff. He, all evidence was just following the script that Joss Whedon wrote for him. Joss Whedon, although, has a different opinion of the success of this movie. He thinks, I did a great job writing this. Jean-Pierre absolutely destroyed this script in every way that he possibly could, except for the fact that he didn't rewrite it at all. He's like, yes, all the words that I wrote are on screen. They're just wrong.
Yeah, maybe we just don't understand it. Our American brains don't understand the beauty that was Jean-Pierre. But so you got a French tour director that went on to make Amélie, not a very horror-like movie for anyone that's seen it.
It's very like kitschy, artistic.
Sweet.
It has to like do a lot with the French culture, the color palette of a very warm and like vibrant movie that's about love.
So nothing like this. And then you got Joss, who writes WB like material. So
and action hero,
sure, he got better.
but like even Avengers is a lot of just quippy, half funny dialogue. Some of it does land pretty funny, but like it's not,
it's bubblegum.
The Godfather.
No, it's bubblegum stuff. You know who I'm sure Joss Whedon loves? James Cameron. They both have dumb like, hey, got that one. Oh, I guess you lost your head. All right, quick, funny, clever. That's the deal. So let's get into this movie. What's happening in it? Alien Resurrection. What's the budget?
So the budget for this movie, obviously, as the years go on, these budgets are going to get bigger and bigger. We have about $70 million as the budget for this movie. I think that is maybe $10 million higher than Alien 3. I think Fincher landed at about 60 on that. This is up to 70. It grosses domestically $47.8 million. Not great. International, where these movies typically make, at least the later movies are making most of their budget, it does do pretty well, 161 million worldwide.
The French loved it.
I'm sure that the Quadrilogy box set that got released in the early 2000s helped out with this movie quite a bit, getting some of those DVDs out.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jean-Pierre did not know English at all, much like an actor that he asked to be a part of this movie, which we'll get into later. But he communicated only through translators to the entire cast and crew.
The whole time he was doing this?
Yes.
What?
So
That's awesome.
by the time the box set comes out in the early 2000s, he has learned enough English that he does give director commentary in English for this movie on the Quadrilogy.
Years later. Wow. Okay, so he's just,
But Jean-Pierre, he comes into this movie and he does not speak English.
wow. So I wonder how much was. Maybe that's why it sucks. It was lost in translation.
Oh, nice.
But this, just a little note too. This was still the Alien franchise is strong. This was a Thanksgiving release, so this was like the movies that are released right before Thanksgiving. So it had a good slot. It had a good release slot. People, Winona Ryder. We'll talk about the cast. She's in it. Sigourney's in it. There's some juice. There's some juice.
Before we get into, the cast of this movie, we'll touch on a couple of them, and then we'll get into some of the scene-by-scene breakdown, which is very tough to do for this movie, but we'll highlight a couple. Chris and I were able to watch this movie together.
What an experience.
It was great, and had a little bit of back and forth. We want to save most of it for the pod, but I think the main thing that we talked about for this particular movie, how it fits into the franchise, is this is the movie with some of the biggest swings so far in the Alien franchise of just big ideas.
Big ideas.
So it's a writer looking back on the 3 previous films, looking at it and going, all right, what can I recall back to keep us in the Alien world? What can I add to this to enhance the world? And so we get a lot of big ideas, a lot of which are not formulated correctly, explained in any way, shape, or form, and most of them fall completely flat.
I could see this being like a really good comic book.
Sure.
Like some of just the idea, like the execution and they're kind of, they tend to be silly. But as far as just concepts, there's some big stuff. If someone gave me the elevator pitch of what was going to happen, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. And again, huge swings, just unfortunately swing and a miss for me.
Yeah, so it brings back the element of our main character is out of time, like in the Aliens movie. Again, it ends up being the same character, but this is 200 years in the future from Alien 3. So we, again, are just completely dropped in with new characters. We have our one character that we can hold on to. Ripley is in this movie. And, again, out of time. We have a similar kind of hallway dark sequences like in Alien 3, like in, the past Alien movies, where a lot of the action is taking place in the spaceship, very tight quarters. You're using the set design around it to add that, horror ambiance, very metallic, very Geiger. I believe Geiger even said that he liked parts of this movie very much. So it's got the Geiger stamp of approval.
So important.
I don't think they gave him any credit in this movie for the alien design that he had initially done for some reason. So I think he was upset about that. But he largely was like, hey, you guys did a pretty good job with the design of the aliens in this. Except for one humongous...
The end set piece is a lot to handle.
Yeah, and we'll get into the major bit of lore that is added to the back end of this movie.
Big lore. That
does not work in any way, shape, or form. It is the biggest swing from a plot standpoint of this entire movie. And it does include the woman that is coming back to this franchise, even though she died in the last movie in Alien 3. Sigourney Weaver is begged to come back to this movie. This initially was written by Joss Whedon as a Newt vehicle because they were like, hey, you're the Buffy the Vampire Slayer guy. What if we had a young heroine like Buffy as a part of our new Alien movie? what young character could we age up a little bit to be the young star of this? We'll grab Newt. And they're like, wait, in Alien 3, she is dead, crash landed on this planet. She is then incinerated as a part to keep the alien that is potentially living inside of her out of this jail area. There's no way that we can bring her back. And so they're like, could you write it as we bring back Ripley?
Who was also incinerated in the exact same way.
But they just throw some lines of dialogue like, yeah, we had some DNA from you.
Blood samples.
Yeah. And
they can do that. I don't know if you guys know about cloning, but that's how it works.
But basically, the studio was like, we got to get Sigourney Weaver in this. It's not Aliens or an Alien movie without Sigourney Weaver. So they gave her $11 million to be a part of this movie. If you remember from our first Alien movie, the budget for the movie Alien in 1970 was $11 million. So not adjusted for inflation. Sigourney Weaver got paid the entire budget of the first movie to just appear in Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, this was a cash grab for sure. She's famously wanted to make sure she was killed at the end of Alien 3 because she wanted to get out of doing them. She didn't like it. There was an ending where she survived and she said, nope, we have to do the one where I die. I'm done with this. But we all need that second home in
Malibu.
Exactly.
And I also think it's interesting. I want to say funny, but interesting that she gets asked to come back to Alien 3. She falls in love with Fincher's ideas, a couple of the ideas that he has, but is also like, hey, I don't want to be in a movie with guns anymore. So take all the guns out of Alien 3. And they're like, all right, geez, okay, we'll do it. So Fincher has to work with that constraint. Apparently, she's like, if you pay me enough money for Alien 4, I'm okay with guns again, because
Shoot everything.
This movie turns into like a gun fu movie where there's like all these tricky gun stuff. There's like grenade launchers all over the place. There's an entire character whose the entire point of him is that he shoots things cool.
Yeah, a lot of cool shooters. So again, her morality had a price tag. Love you, Sigourney, but I think you're a little bit exposed.
All right, and that is, that's the main character that we are going to be talking about. We'll mention other characters as we get through it, but Chris, let's get into the scene-by-scene breakdown and discuss the rest of Alien Resurrection.
I thought you were dead.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
All right, so our scene-by-scene breakdown, I'm going to give us the first third of this movie, and we are going to progress from there.
Let's do it.
We've got the ship Auriga, standing crew of 42, enlisted 7 officers. That's going to be where our main action aboard this ship is. We are introduced to our version of Ripley for this movie, 200 years in the future. She is a clone. There's a very sinister scientific plot aboard this ship that is being hidden as a military vehicle, in which they are attempting to infect human beings that they have brought aboard the ship with facehuggers, grow xenomorphs out of them, cage the xenomorphs, train them, and bring them back to Earth for military purposes.
So sinister.
Very, very sinister. And basically what happens from there is that this plan goes awry. The members of the Betty, which is a mercenary pirate ship type thing, have brought the humans aboard. Scientists are all happy. They facehugger them. They're growing xenomorphs. They're throwing them in cages. They're trying to train them. And what happens is the xenomorphs get out of those cages and all hell breaks loose on the ship. And that's our first third of the movie. Chris, what happened to this first third?
This first third, yeah, so that was the Cliff Notes. Right off the bat, it's got an interesting tone. Jean has gone for a bit of a comic tone in my mind.
I think that's Whedon.
Yeah? You don't know if it was Jean?
I think, we talked about earlier, like, whose fault is this?
Yeah.
Is it Jean-Pierre?
Who did this?
Or is it Joss Whedon? We obviously know that Joss Whedon thinks it's one way. and John basically thinks this is a fine movie.
Yes, this is good.
I think that your criticism that you just levied, I think that's a Joss Whedon problem.
I mean, it's very much like a lot of the, the WB scripts, like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's got that energy. And that's not what I want, or I don't think what anyone wants for an Alien movie. I mean, these are serious movies. I mean, maybe they're fun action movies if we're doing Aliens, but these are serious movies, and they're not, teen comedies or anything like that. Not to say it's a teen comedy, but just they're not lighthearted.
And I think you hit on a very good point there, and I think the main reason why it seems even extra kind of like that is because the plot that we are brought into in this movie is so goddamn sinister.
Yeah.
Like, it is just human rights violations all over the place, like the most corrupt scientists of all time doing the most heinous shit of all like, this makes what Burke does in Aliens like seem fine. Like, he didn't know that they were necessarily gonna like get their entire population wiped out by going to investigate the ship. These guys 200 years in the future know exactly what the hell is gonna happen to these people and are doing it on purpose.
This is dark. There's human trafficking. There's all kinds of stuff. This would be like if there was like a fun twist put on the human centipede. Like, it just wouldn't work if there was jokes and clever cut to the cameras. Like, oh, that was a good stitch. Like, that wouldn't work. It's bad for what this movie's going for plot-wise. You can get away with that for the Avengers or, something like that. But this is no Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, so the first Avengers movie, what it's known for is that it is lighthearted, even though there is like a universe-destroying thing coming to Earth.
Yeah, but it's,
it's known for the jokes, it's known for the back and forth between the characters and stuff like that. Like,
kids think it's cool.
Yeah, but like Civil War is actually a very serious movie and handles a very serious subject matter. That is not written by Joss Whedon. Like, Joss Whedon has his lane. He did it well for the first Avengers movie. He did it well for Buffy. I know Buffy like has some dark stuff in it and all that, but like this is Alien. This is like next level like heinous shit.
On the heels of Alien 3, which was probably, I mean, even if it wasn't necessarily successful,
but it's dark.
It's so dark. So dark. And I mean, just here, like, so she's a clone. She's number 8, right? Ripley is the 8th clone. So they've grown her in a lab, and they take the alien out of her in that first scene, and
we know it's the Queen, and like, so even from that first like kind of surgical scene where they're taking it out, like, this is crazy what these scientists are going to be doing. They full well know that this is a queen that is going to lay eggs, and they are going to use, this kind of destructive virus force that is the xenomorphs, like, for evil.
And it's also going to be gross. They established that right in the opening credits, as you said. There's a lot of like slimy,
very Cronenberg
cocoon like stuff, and so it's going to be gross. It's going to be really dark, but it's going to be funny. Now, I guess that's worked for some movies in the past. If we look at like B-level, schlocky, older horror movies, but this is just the Alien series cannot be that. It's already been established as like some level of class in my mind.
For sure. And like Aliens definitely like lightens it up after, I mean, Alien is like pretty serious. Yeah. Aliens lightens it up, but it does it kind of, I mean, it does it first is what it did. Yeah. Is it lightens it up first so that you're more okay with it. The third brings us back to that kind of seriousness of the original Alien movie. Again, why I like it a little bit better than Aliens. And then this just can't figure out the difference between those two. Like, if you want to make it lighthearted, more like Aliens and just make it an action romp, then do that. Leave out all the crazy scientists, like, trying to destroy the world type stuff and doing these, like, atrocities against the human race.
Yeah, it just wasn't handled with the same care that my favorite director and your favorite director, James Cameron, was able to apply.
But, I mean, again, whether you like it or not, I don't personally like it. But, like, James Cameron in Aliens is basically like, oh, yeah, all that stuff that happened in Aliens, that was terrible. That was really bad. All right, let's just cut to the action. Like, let's get through all of this, like, talking back and forth and all this evil and all that shit. Like, did Burke actually do anything, like, really bad to get these settlers basically destroyed? We don't know because we never really see it except for in the special edition. But, like, that's all cut out because Cameron's just like, it can't be that evil. Like, this is going to end up being an action romp.
Yeah, and maybe, finally we got a potential answer as to why they cut out those scenes in the special edition. Because, when we talked about that in a couple episodes ago. But, so yeah, this doesn't work. And I think we really get, it sets things up. They're going to be sinister. They've got these scientists that are wearing, like, chef outfits that look really strange.
A couple of those scientist characters, like Jay Freeman, who plays Dr. Wren, who's kind of the head scientist at the start, very sinister dude. Brad Dourif, who plays Gettyman, the guy that's, like, actually doing the surgery as Wren watches. Creepy.
But it plays as a comedy. He reminds me of Chris Kattan. He looks like Chris Kattan. But and he's trying, it doesn't know what it is. And
but then, like, I was going to get to why it, like, doesn't work in all aspects is, like, you get Dan Hedaya, who's General Perez, and his, like, eyebrows are, like, busting out of the screen.
Yeah.
He's got the hairy back. He's, like, breathing into these things that, like, are the security.
It's kooky.
Like, it's just all this goofy, like, Joss Whedon, like, side jokes that, like, you're watching it and you're kind of going like, oh.
It ruins it.
Yeah, but, again, the way the story is written, the way the plot is written, this should be the darkest Alien movie of the four.
Yeah.
But it's bad. Like, it's just goofy.
They put it through, like, a little candy machine known as Josh Whedon. And, it doesn't work. And that is really put on full display when we get to our first big basketball scene.
Yeah, so this was put in because Sigourney Weaver, like, was obsessed with basketball. She wanted a scene to kind of show that off and insisted on that backward shot that she drains, which, like, went down in history as she made it on the first try because she had been working with a trainer on this for, like, months before and was insisting to the director that she can do it live, basically, and they didn't have to fake it in any way. And they, like, it's not true. She didn't do it on the first try. It took, many, many tries to the point where the director's like, we'll just fake it. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Can you imagine being on the set? And obviously Sigourney Weaver was paid a lot of money. They have to do what she wants. They're like, hey guys. So everything's going great on the production. We're loving what you're doing so far. We got some notes from Sigourney. She wants you to add in basketball. Is it to Alien Resurrection? Yeah, basketball. Can you do that? You have to. And they're like, oh, okay, I will just put it in. How? It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be. There should not be basketball in an Alien movie. It should not exist. There's no reason. But Sigourney was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm getting paid, $11 million. I don't want to be here. But I love working on my jump shot. They're going to put that shit into the movie. She probably thought that was hilarious.
Well, and the way that they're like kind of writing through it is that she's showing off her enhanced ability because the alien lived inside of her and she's now gotten alien xenomorph traits. So they had to write through it. It still doesn't. It's so goofy and like basically just turns into Ron Perlman, who's one of the members of the Betty Johnner. Like, basically sexually harassing her.
But in a fun way. Which we have seen throughout all the Alien movies.
Yes, very true.
I mean, that's a trope at this point.
They're just like, copy-paste that.
That's not Whedon. That's just, they said we had to do that.
But it's really, really goofy. Again, like, to have all this serious stuff happening and then having probably the goofiest scene in all of the Alien movies so far. Yeah. Just, like, 30 minutes in.
Super dumb.
And it's like right after we get introduced to the characters from the Betty. So you're like, oh, I kind of want to get to know these guys.
Yeah.
And the first time that they're all together with Ripley, they're like watching her play basketball.
Yeah, and she's doing a
And
slam
then she
dunk.
beats the shit out of all of them.
Like Jim Carrey and the Cable Guy, just bringing it down.
Now that's excellent filmmaking.
It is.
I
That's for another
love
episode.
that.
The Cable Guy's amazing.
I don't know if there's a franchise attached to the Cable Guy, but there could be.
The Rock. Just all. Yeah. So she's doing that. It doesn't look as cool as it does in Cable Guy. It's dumb, and it's just an example of why this just doesn't work.
So Chris, known basketball expert that you are,
Absolutely not.
what would you comp Sigourney Weaver to from a NBA player perspective? You know, kind of the tomahawk dunk that she had, the passing the ball around Johnner's head. Who do you think?
Yeah, so I know so much about basketball. That should be first. Everyone should know that in the audience. Huge ball head here.
Yep.
I'm going to say she reminds me a lot of Bugs Bunny in Space Jam.
No, that's
The same moves. The same way that she moved her hips like that. I mean, it was very Bugs.
Or the Lola Bunny scene 2 Bugs.
Oh, God, Lola.
Yeah. Got back before woke,
In the good old
wokeness.
days. Not that Space Jam 2 nonsense.
Yeah, tough. I was going to give an actual basketball player as my comp.
Do it. No, do it a real one.
I think she's a little Scottie Pippen.
Okay, Pippen.
She's got
know who
some
that is.
length.
Yeah.
Sigourney's a tall lady.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of length. She's a little bit up and down in her playing style. She's not exactly getting low. She doesn't seem like she has a lot of lateral quickness, but I think going straight to the hole, so the dunk scene is so silly.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime they try in any movie to put actual basketball moves on it, usually, unless they're performed by a basketball player, look very silly.
Yeah.
See American History X.
Air Bud.
Air Bud. So
Except for the second one. That one was just dirty.
the thing that dunk scene made me think of was this movie from 1994 called The Air Up There, which is a Kevin Bacon-led movie.
Yeah.
He is a college basketball coach that goes to Africa and
Totally cool. Yeah.
and is basically like, oh, these guys that play soccer are so tall in Africa, maybe they'll be good basketball players. It's basically the Hakeem Olajuwon story.
Yeah. I think I've seen
And a lot of like the big scene from that is like he erects a basketball hoop in this, like kind of native village, or probably getting canceled for calling it that, but whatever. Like,
he's a white savior.
third world country village type situation. And all of a sudden, these dudes are just like flying and dunking out of nowhere because none of them know how to shoot, but they can obviously dunk a basketball. Mm-hmm. And
Does it look good?
that's basically what Ellen Ripley slam dunking a basketball reminded me of, was the Air Up There, which is a tangent that I appreciate being able to perform on this podcast.
You're safe here. This is a safe space, and Sigourney is just drilling those up in space.
Yeah, I mean, I wish so. The end of this scene is where we get into like more what the crew of the Betty is gonna bring from an action standpoint to the rest of this. They've all hidden guns.
The Matrix. They are the Matrix.
Yeah, and
At least one of the guys.
yeah, and we've got the dueling guns that come up into the guy's hands. He's shooting, banking bullets off, hitting dudes. Obviously, they're there for some other reason other than to just drop these bodies off, but they don't realize why, because we have the Winona Ryder character, Call, who will have a big reveal later on, but for this first, 40 minutes of the movie, you have no idea why...
Why she's there?
Yeah, why anything is going on, why the camera follows her, why she's the one talking to Ripley.
Why her name is Call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the reveal is going to be that she's an android later on.
Oh, you spoiled it.
I'm fine with it. This movie sucks, so spoilers don't matter.
was-
And in all the other Alien movies, the android is way more hinted at than in this.
Yeah.
This just kind of comes out of nowhere because she gets shot and seemingly dies and then comes back heroically, and you find out that she's an android. That's why she didn't die.
Yeah.
That's the only evidence that you ever get the entire movie, other than, after the reveal already happens. They basically were just like, all right, Winona Ryder wants to be in this movie. She's in this movie.
We need a synthetic.
Yeah, we got to throw a big curveball in the last third of this movie.
Yeah.
We might as well do that. But let's make no allusions to it in any way to, like, give the audience credit to, like, look back on. Like, you can't look back on this movie. You can't look back on her character in the first, like, hour of this movie and be like, oh, yeah, I see. She's definitely a synthetic because of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of one example.
This is not a movie that's going to pay off with rewatches. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, the only example maybe is, like, her and John are, like, drinking and she's acting drunk. And then when she goes to talk to Ripley, she's not drunk anymore.
Yeah, I guess so.
But, like, that happens in movies all the time where, like, people act drunk and then, like, an hour later they're sober again.
Yeah.
So you just kind of write it off for that, whatever. It's not good. This first third does have, like, one of the scarier, I think, effective scenes if it was in a better movie.
It's when they're selling guns on QVC, right? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, no, that's not the one? Okay,
No,
keep going.
I would say it's when they load those human beings up in their cryo-sleep containers. They're throwing the eggs from the queen that they've pulled out of Ripley, and the facehuggers off-screen attach them, but we get the cut to one of the guys waking up right as the facehugger is about to grab onto that face.
You don't want to be staring a facehugger in the face? Does the facehugger have a face? They hug a face, but do they themselves have a face? They have to. They need to have eyes to see where the face is. Or is it some kind of sensory thing?
I mean, do crabs have faces? Do
Yeah, have
lobsters
you ever
have
seen
faces?
SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, I think that answers your question then.
Yar. It's a good scene. It does. It's kind of in the middle of a lot of stupider scenes, you might say, if you're going to criticize it. You've got Sigourney, she's sleeping on the floor. She talks to Call. Again, great name. Would be problematic to program it in my phone. But Call. There you go. Those are the types of jokes you could expect from me. But you get the sense that there might be another maternal relationship. So, one thing that Alien likes to do is have the maternal relationship. So again, maybe if this one, if 3 was kind of looking back to 1, then this 4 maybe looking back more to Aliens. Again, just kind of throwing that out there. Not, but it does have that potential maternal relationship, which we will see more as the movie goes on.
And this first third basically wraps up with the xenomorphs that they've harvested from these people. They've grown them, they've caged them. Brad Dourif is trying to imitate their mouth between the protective glass, and xenomorphs hatch a pretty genius way. They got some brains to them, the xenomorphs.
Not only are they great basketball players, but they also
when put in human form. I think
we've
they'd have a tough time.
We've never seen them ball. What's your comp for a xenomorph? Xenomorph? Yeah, what's your comp?
I mean, I'd have to see how they, handle the rock. Like, can they dribble?
I guess so. I mean, they can use elevators. They can open doors. Of course they can. They've got handles.
I suppose. I mean,
like Giannis type of deal?
Sure.
Yeah, they just take over the game. They're the perfect organism.
It would be tough to play them like Space Jam style because I think they would just kill the other team and then win by default.
Yeah, unless they were maybe playing Predator.
Ooh.
Which, that's not only a movie, it's also a great basketball matchup. Stay tuned.
That's a tease.
For more of that, we'll talk about.
So the final part of this third of a movie, or this first third of the movie, ends with the xenomorphs finding a way to escape from their cages that they've been put into by the scientists after being harvested by the human beings. They do so very creatively. They basically start attacking each other, pick one that they're going to kill,
Yeah, they drew straws, I imagine. Or something.
I can only, I mean, for as smart as this plan is, they must have be able to communicate somehow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Does that come into play where they like make little sounds at each other like
I mean,
dolphins?
For all the lore that they're trying to expand with the xenomorphs and all that sort of stuff, they don't really get into the minutia of like, how do these things communicate? What is their end goal in all of this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't fucking know.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, they kill the xenomorph. His acid blood goes through the floor of their cage.
Yeah.
And they are able to escape. They're able to kill Brad Dourif, the Gettyman scientist character.
They take him away.
Yeah, you're right. They take him away. And then they, wreak havoc on the rest of the ship. They, basically chase out all of those other, 42 crew members that I mentioned at the top into their pods. General Perez, or whatever his name is, grenades one of them that got into one of the shuttle ships, killing his crew members and a xenomorph at the same time for the greater good. Dan Hedaya decided to do that, Mr. Eyebrows himself.
Cher's dad.
I mean, to get into the area that he did, he had to breathe into that machine multiple times.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a car.
Like a breathalyzer thing?
Yeah,
for a
so
car?
like, do you think it'll not let you into certain areas of the ship if like you have a blood alcohol content?
Absolutely. You can't get into the captain's area when drinking.
They're like, General Perez, you've had a couple too many.
Perez was known. He had a problem. That was court ordered. He had to get an interlock on the ship.
You are locked out of the control room.
Sorry, he's like, come on, that's good. Everyone takes 20 minutes in LA. That's my Dan Herrera. Hedaya. That's my Dan Hedaya impression.
Yeah, I mean,
Takes 20 minutes, shit.
he's got the back hair of the Steve Carell character from 40-Year-Old Virgin rocking.
Very thick.
Apparently, in test screenings, he did not have like the wife beater tank top that he has on in that scene. And
People found him appalling.
no, they just laughed. They thought it was hilarious, and they're like, "We gotta make this way
It's
more
not supposed to be
serious.
that funny.
We gotta make this way more serious." Dan, put a tank top on,
Clothes on that beast.
which I think makes it even funnier because it's just like popping out.
The hair is much higher than the clothing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they might as well have just seen the
didn't
woolly
need-
mammoth himself.
He doesn't need to wear any clothes.
Well, I'd prefer that he does.
Just don't let him drink.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not really him, it's Elgin you got to worry about. Apparently the Betty doesn't have any of that because this dude's just trolling
Betty-
around space, like, loaded up.
The Betty is definitely very, very alcoholic.
But because Elgin is a low-talking,
He's very...
sexual deviant,
Yeah.
he has to be the first one of the Betty crew to die. So the xenomorphs have escaped. They take Gettyman. They kill Elgin. The crew of the Betty shows off some of their fighting skills. We get Varys, our wheelchaired,
Oh, yeah.
kind of super mechanic guy.
Mr. English only in phonetics himself.
Yeah, our Frenchman that our French director brought aboard to kind of class up the joint.
I owe him money.
There must have been some deal
He
where
has pictures of me. I cannot look
he's like,
at them.
if I'm going to make my first American movie, I get to bring the
I need-
biggest star from
The
France.
biggest. Gerard Depardieu was busy making my father the hero.
Yeah, so Dominique Pignon, Varys himself, this is his first big kind of cool action scene. He's a shotgun-wielding wheelchair mechanic who takes on a xenomorph that is crawling above him. He shotgun blasts multiple times. He kills. He does what, I mean, obviously Elgin could not do, and he takes down him even without the use of his legs.
Yeah, he's a champion. As much of a trope as a wheelchair shotgun wielding person is.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically that part, used to show that he's a badass, even though he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it also separates him from the rest of the crew because he's kind of been wandering around, going up elevators, going down elevators.
Getting parts. They told him he could just take whatever
That's true.
parts.
Dan Hedaya was basically like, go ahead, fix the Betty with spare pieces that you see around the ship here.
Yeah, go look in the basement.
And what this basically does with the plot is it gets all the characters of the Betty, it gets all the ancillary characters that are aboard the Auriga off of it, and just gets us to our tight crew for the rest of the remaining part of the movie.
The core.
But, and this is by far my favorite part of the entire movie, Varys obviously has to get back with the crew so that the second half of this movie can take place.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's been going up and down elevators.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
Our entire crew of the Betty, along with Ripley and Tuco Salamanca himself, the one remaining kind of military guy aboard the ship.
And one of the scientists.
Dr. Wren is with them too.
Yes.
And they're all grouped together. They're, on the lookout for the remaining xenomorphs that are still aboard the ship.
They think the xenomorph's coming.
Gun drawn. There's
Yeah.
a rattling elevator that comes.
We've seen him use elevators before. Oh, God.
Door opens.
Oh!
It's Varys. He's got his shotgun ready. The guys of the crew have their shotgun ready. They see each other. Varys then yells, "What were you expecting? Santa Claus!"
Which is great. That's the line of the movie. We should have started with that line in my...
I will probably end up saying that line multiple times for the remainder of this podcast because what were you expecting, Santa Claus?
It's great. And he had no idea what he was talking about.
No, so the original line was, what were you expecting, the Easter Bunny? But he kept on saying the Eastern Bunny because obviously he was just reading it phonetically. Yeah. And the entire crew would just crack up every time. What were you expecting, the Eastern Bunny? And
they're like Santa Claus. They were like, no, this is serious as fuck.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better. But it's just another one of those stupid Joss Whedon joke lines. It is played for a laugh. It's not supposed to be serious, but it cuts the tension and the crew's back together.
They're back.
And so we get into the second third of this movie, highlighted by the main, probably what the main set piece that, got this movie flowing, no pun intended, but it's a underwater scene that occurs. Also in this third of the movie, we are taken to a section of the ship, more of the laboratory area, where we see the other 7 failed attempts to clone Ripley.
Oh, yeah.
And
brutal.
We're basically just with the crew as they're trying to navigate their way through. We got all this messed up stuff. We got the big set piece underwater. We've got the reveal of the nest where the queen has been laying the eggs that they've been using to, infect the human beings, turn them into xenomorphs.
The big alien love sack.
Yeah, and that's where we end this third, is Ripley jumps down into the alien queen love sack.
It is I don't even know what it is.
And
but it's all
very
alien-ish.
sensually falls between the coils.
Ooh, yeah.
And then we'll get into the last third. But again, this is largely for these 2 main scenes. It's the clone scene. It's the underwater scene.
Let's get into it. Let's dive right in.
So we'll dive into the water scene first because I think this is pretty effective. It's a cool action scene.
It's cool, and I think when we were watching it, I said, can you imagine? So James Cameron, he talked about watching Alien 3, and he said, that was garbage. I'm sure he watched Alien Resurrection. He watches movies. He's a movie guy. He probably saw that underwater scene, and he was like, God damn, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
He's like, the rest of this movie is shit, but man, there's 20 minutes of it that's unbelievable.
I gotta go to the bathroom, you guys. I'll be right back. James! Oh, God.
But do you think that, the amount of water that they're able to put into the ship, do you think it's enough water? This guy likes the deep ocean.
Yeah.
We're talking about maybe 40 feet of water in this ship. Again, just like we talked about in Alien, how do they have these humongous rooms that 40 feet of water can, turn into this basically lake section that they have to swim through, hold their breath for, 2 minutes, which... if you've ever tried to hold your breath for 2 minutes, like you can't just walk up to someone on the street and be like, hey, we're going to put you underwater for 2 minutes. You'll be fine.
And they have to open their eyes, and they have to avoid...
And they have to swim.
They have to do all kinds of stuff.
And they're like carrying guns, which apparently work underwater if you're using like the rocket launcher, grenade launcher feature of the gun.
Waterproof guns they had.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And they, unlike in Aliens where Hicks basically gives us the full breakdown in that lovely scene with Ripley on how the guns work.
Yeah, here you go.
We're not told how guns work in this
We don't need
movie at all.
Yeah,
but they
Betty
work
guys.
underwater.
They do.
Christie, who I had mentioned earlier, is kind of our Matrix gun-wielding guy, does another bank shot in which he shoots part of the nest of eggs so that they're able to exit the water. The xenomorphs look pretty cool swimming through the water. Definitely coming back to that Jaws illusion that I said in the first Alien movie.
It's
Jaws in space.
It is,
and they literally turn it into Jaws in space.
They did it. They put Jaws in space. Yeah, it's really cool. And I think the technology by 97 has gotten to a place where we're away from the very questionable special effects that we saw.
Yeah, the CGI, I mean, it looks CGI, but it doesn't look bad.
It looks,
They definitely spent more money than they did in Aliens 3.
For sure. And, it does remind me, though, and this is something that I said about this movie in general by this point. There's two things. First of all, it's like a video game.
Yeah.
Like, here's the underwater level. Escape.
It's like the Mario level.
Yeah.
Like submarine level.
Yeah, just, so there was that element. And then it was so much almost like a parody. I don't know if it's a... It reminded me of if someone... Did you ever... this is going to age me. Did you ever see it, or do you know about Mad Magazine?
Yes.
Okay. So they would do movie parodies.
Sure.
Yeah. It reminds me if they did an Alien parody in Mad Magazine, this would be this movie. Because it's just over the top. It's kind of sexualized in a stupid way. Who do I have to fuck to get off this boat? Just dumb.
Another unbelievable Varys line in this, too, where he's strapped to the back of Christie because obviously he can't swim himself. And before they submerge under the water together, Varys instructs him that, make sure that when we get to the other side, you're not doing backstroke!
Yeah. It's filled with great lines. So it reminded me of that. So all this is to say, I'm not getting serious vibes. I'm getting that this is a parody of an Alien movie. It's not, but it is a real Alien movie. It's got Sigourney Weaver. It's got a huge cast. It's got a huge budget, but it's not working, and that's a lot because of the tone.
Yeah, and they get out of the water. We get a cool scene. Again, a very in retrospect, goofy action scene, but it's cool where they're climbing this tower to get out of the water. And the xenomorph pops out of the water and grabs onto Christie and Varys, who's attached to his back. And, someone's going to have to sacrifice themselves in order for them to get off. Johnner heroically flips backwards, double guns, shoots the xenomorph in the head, killing it. But it still has got its claws into Christie. And he has to unattach himself from Varys, who is hanging on to the bars with his super strong arms because his legs don't work, so you've got to have ripped arms.
Obviously.
And very emotional, no, Christie!
No! Slow motion, the hands are slipping, no!
Which also ends with a very Aliens Burke scene in which Dr. Wren, who's still with the crew, for some reason they just haven't just offed this dude, shoots Call. I spoiled this earlier.
Yeah.
She falls back into the water.
We think she's dead.
Absolutely, everyone thinks she's dead.
She's dead. Calls. Oh my god.
And Dr. Wren shuts the door and locks him in and all that sort of stuff.
You're all going to die.
And yeah, it's a mess. And eventually it gets to the point where Call ends up on the other side of the door. The crew is like, oh my gosh, she's back. How are you still alive? And she's pulls her thing aside. She's got the milk falling from her wound. Johnner basically makes...
I almost fucked a robot joke.
Yeah, and then Varys responds like, you haven't fucked a robot before.
Come on, we know, back in Italy in 1945. We know it was there. We were so happy the war was over. I don't know what that was.
That turned into not a French accent. Not that the French accents before have been good. But...
No, but yeah, before. This was a little different. It was not like Jean. So let's talk really quickly, before we move on, about the deformed... Sigourney running into the deformed versions of herself.
So I've got an important take on this scene, because I think it's good, and it's very creepy, much like the scene that I mentioned before with the eggs being put into the cryo chambers and, face hugging these dudes.
Yeah.
Very creepy. The, test tubes filled with various, aged versions of the Ripley, basically how far they've been able to carry this clone until it dies.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously gets to the end and there's a half alive, very deformed version of Sigourney Weaver laying on a thing, begging to die, and Ripley obliges her.
With a flamethrower, like you always do. This is the third time in the Alien franchise where we have found someone that says, kill me, and they are flamethrowed. And that's the correct way to say it, yeah.
Flamethrowed.
Yeah. So again... They're doing it, yeah.
So the point that I wanted to get to is I think this reveal should have happened earlier on in the movie. And I think that it would have, if Joss Whedon thought of it this way, where you introduced the fact that they had failed this many times and the deformities and stuff like that. Because we know that Ripley is the 8th version pretty early on.
Yeah.
If they had somehow found a way to write this in sooner, makes it even creepier. By the time we get to this part of the movie later on, it's all right, whatever. Yeah, it's messed up, man.
It's a big emotional scene for her.
It is.
It's trying to be.
I think, all right, fine. Maybe the scene stays, but you allude to it earlier on. Maybe you have, another scientist scene, and, you see them kind of in the background. Or you have, Dr. Ren or Gettyman, trying to keep that last version of Ripley that's still alive in this scene, talking to her or something, and you get a cut to it. You just allude to it a little bit more before just kind of dropping it into the back half of this movie.
Why?
Because I think if you write that, then tonally the rest of the movie gets even darker, and then I think you're more stuck from a writing perspective to make it not as goofy. Because you're I've shown something super duper messed up.
It is. It's very, very dark. And it's in the middle of this WB movie that we were watching. It's definitely trying to establish, because up until this point, this Ripley 8.0 has been pretty...
She's fine. She's just Ellen Ripley.
But they're trying, superpowers, and there's kind of a little bit she's not fully human. She puts a knife through her hand, and she's weird, and she sleeps on the floor.
She's got acid blood.
And blah, 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 blah. But in this one, she cries, and it's oh my gosh, we are supposed to, at this point, and for the first point in this movie, really emotionally connect with Ripley. And I guess it works kind of, sort of.
Let's get to the the last third of this movie, where we left Ripley. She's jumped into the queen nest. She's come out on the other side, fully in the nest, facing the queen, and there is a birth that's occurring. We get the birth of the newborn. We then get a heroic escape where Ripley and the remaining characters who have not been killed off yet board the Betty, blast away from the ship, and are seemingly safe. But no, this is an alien movie. So obviously the alien, the newborn, has jumped aboard, and there has to be one final showdown. Ripley has the final showdown with the newborn, blasted into space, and happy days.
So right before she goes into the alien love sack, she does establish her maternal relationship with Call in the chapel, where there's a Bible that seems to be hooked up to the internet. She's got weird wires that come out of her. that hook up to, and this was at the dawn. This was 97. AOL was all the rage. So this was probably, I'm surprised we didn't hear like a modem signal or something, but
Well, she has to shut down father
yes. No
because
more
it has
mother.
a male voice. So obviously it is father, not mother, like from the Alien movie. So she hardwires herself in there because she's a robot and shuts that down to basically foil Dr. Wren, locking everything down by use of the onboard system.
They're going to crash the ship because it's going to Earth, right?
It is going to Earth. There has been a time limit set. There's always a time limit set for
Always.
where it's
Yeah.
going to end up, ruining something big.
Sure. So that's just what's happening as far as how they're going to eventually try and, die or kill the alien or whatever. So she's in the alien, the love sack, as we've called it, and she does a little bit of a slow dance with the queen. Is this stupid?
It's very stupid. I mean, the whole last 30 minutes of this movie is so stupid.
Yeah, it's not the best.
And this is kind of like the selling point for the entire movie existing in the first place is, I believe Joss Whedon had the idea of this alien-human hybrid creature that the alien queen would birth, and it would, wreak havoc in a way that no xenomorph has ever done before, and comes up with the idea of making Ripley basically the mother. Like, it ends up killing the queen that birthed it and looking to Ripley as its actual mother because Ripley had the queen inside of her.
It seems like some really bad fan fiction.
Yeah, and like the newborn itself is this white...
Frosty the Snowman alien.
It looks so stupid.
Kind of makes dog sounds when it's not roaring.
It has these weird
Puppy dog
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, give it like visible, because the other xenomorphs like don't have like visible eyes. They have like insect eyes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They're like, make it more humanoid eyes, but the eyes look, like you said, like puppy eyes. They don't look like human eyes.
Quick question. How cool is the xenomorph as cool as it is because it doesn't have eyes? If a xenomorph had eyes, would it ruin it? I say yes.
Yes. I mean,
Just an aside there.
what they should have done, basically, with the newborn is just made it like the Predator.
Sure. Anything, just not what it was. Not what it
I mean,
was.
the Predator looks like an alien-human hybrid. This, like, bastardization looks like nothing. It looks so stupid.
It's not good.
And it has to be the driving force for the back end of this movie.
Yeah.
And, like, Ripley has to be somewhat attached to it. And you're like, why would she ever be attached? And even when she, like, blows it away at the end, like, she has this sorrowful moment of, like, I can't believe I killed my kid again.
Yeah, it's not good. There's a human. So we're to ascertain that the queen has human elements, and they say this. Actually, we don't have to ascertain it. That they have human reproductive aspects. So my question is, who knocked up the queen alien?
Well, I mean, can two mothers be mothers, even if genetically they might not be able to do that in the way that we commonly know?
I don't know. So the queen did IVF on the ship.
It does seem to be an immaculate type birth.
Well, yeah. There's no one.
Because of the fact that the queen was inside of a human.
And then they just yeah. I don't know. It's weird. And then
Maybe the queen is able to like pull DNA from a living host and use it as a part of the birthing process.
yeah. Can we talk about the newborn's boobs?
Yeah, those saggy tits.
It's horrible. Like why that? Oh God.
Apparently it had genitals too, and test audience were like, nope. And so
But keep the boobs. Keep the
Yeah.
boobs. We like that.
So the production company was like, yeah, we agree. Take those out. But Jean was like, really, he was asking for it. He's like,
We must make it sexual.
Yeah,
you
but-
Americans, you
but-
are so
yeah, you're so
prudish
uptight,
about
so
sex.
uptight.
We all have
It
sex.
doesn't just have male genitals, it also has female.
We have sex all the time on the street in
Yeah,
Paris.
just fuck. God damn.
So one thing before we kind of wrap up, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to the big swing. So yeah, this is fan fiction. It's not good. It doesn't work, but they really are trying to go some crazy places. Even though at the end, yeah, the alien is sucked out of the ship. So that's something we've seen, at least that we've seen it 2 times before. But they certainly do try and go big places, while the other movies, maybe at least the first 2, kind of follow the same template. Should we give them credit for taking those swings, or what? Where do you think we come down?
I don't think you can give them credit at all because they completely fail on the big swings that they take. But like I've said throughout this entire thing, like there's good ideas in here, but the genre that they try and force it into, this kind of like goofy action, romp, is not the tone for as serious of a situation as they're putting these characters into. And so what ends up coming out is this goofy newborn alien at the end that is not sinister in any way, is just a like punching bag for us for the rest of the movie on how dumb this is turning out. And it's kind of like an encapsulation of this movie as a whole. Like it's a good idea, but it sucks.
Yeah, I put a note down that like somewhere I think that the design for this newborn was cool. Like the way it was, the way that they actually brought it to life, and some of the choices they made. But they could, like, there was certain elements in there where you're like, I could see on how maybe a sketch somewhere this maybe seemed like a good idea. But then once they started to do it, that went out the window.
So a question that I have for you, Chris,
Yeah.
about the Alien franchise so far is, does Alien as a franchise have an ending problem?
Yes.
Would you agree that Alien 3 is potentially the best ending of the 4 so far?
Well, I would say that maybe the first one
First one, because it's the original.
They're like, yeah, the first time when Ridley Scott, yeah, we'll suck it out of the ship. Perfect.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, then the other 2, they're like, we have to suck it out of the ship.
And you've alluded to the fact that like this 3 is to 1 as 4 is to 2.
Yeah. And I stand by it. And so, you know, they were just... This is more concerned with just like, you know, making some big hits and I don't know, as opposed to making something that's a little more original and serious again. Whether it works or not with 3, I mean, that's up to the viewer. But this is definitely something that has an ending problem, you know, and just as we see the thing sucked out, I mean, so it's unoriginal how it happens. We know this. The fact that it gets on the other ship is crazy. That it gets on the escape ship again. It's insane that happens. It's insane that it always happens, but that it happens again here. That's a hard pill to swallow. And then when she is killing the alien, when the alien's getting sucked out, can we talk about how little of a hole the alien newborn?
It's like a baseball-sized hole that you'd like, you know, you're playing in the backyard, you hit it into the neighbors, and it bursts through a window. It's like that size of a hole.
So then what happens is we hear what is humanistic, like screaming. We see that as this is happening, and then we start to see guts falling out. We see the sadness, and I just was thinking at the point when people saw this in theaters on the Thanksgiving weekend in 1997, was anyone like, "Oh wow, that was awesome," or was everyone like, "What the hell is this? This is ridiculous"? I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious what your average audience thought when they watched that last scene, because it's ridiculous is all I can say. It's ridiculous.
It's extremely stupid. And like the guts flying into space highlight, you know, the bad CGI element to, you know, this movie being from 1997. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't look real at all when it's being blasted out into space. The skeleton head that finally goes out the minuscule hole looks very dumb. It's
again, not great.
This newborn thing is the encapsulation of this movie being shitty, even though there's good ideas.
Yep, 100%. They could have been cool, but it's not at all, and it actually sucks.
Also, Alien 4, figure out a different way to end the movie, because you can't just rehash what happened in Alien and Aliens again. Because to go to your point about, what did audiences think? If I had been, of a certain age and had seen the Alien movies before this, and I'm going into Alien 4, I'm seeing some of the ideas, I'm like, it's not working. And then the last 30 minutes was just the end of Aliens again, I'd be like, what the heck is, this sucks. I've already seen this. Do something different.
Yeah, I did. So
have them crash into Earth. We've never had that happen before. Ended in some super dramatic, terrible way where Earth potentially could be infected and, maybe something happens at the end that saves Earth. But let it crash into Earth. Do something else.
They would never do that. Of all the things, well, at least so far, we haven't seen them go that route. We'll see if that ever changes. Yeah, it's not good. I'm a little older than you, as you are aware, and I'm aware. So I saw this. I was in middle school, and we watched this over the summer at someone's house, and I remember that we did not like it. It was a Blockbuster rental. We were like, oh, cool. We were aware that Alien was this cool franchise, and it had people we knew. I remember the basketball scene, and I remember the newborn, and those were the big takeaways, and being like, yeah, that was not great. That was what I recall. So there's my real life experience as I saw it, but again, I certainly did not get to see it in theaters, and I'm not too mad about that.
Yeah. So
should we wrap?
We've done a good job at bashing most of this movie. Let's bring the mood up. Let's get to some positivity. Let's give some awards.
Let's do it.
So, Chris,
some Razzies.
Our first award in this movie. What is your favorite scene? What positive part of this movie? What couple minutes can you recall fondly when you think about Alien Resurrection?
I'm going to go with the water scene. It's a good action scene. It's a cool action scene. It's
James Cameron could never.
He's losing it when he sees that. He's having climax after climax, thinking about using Sigourney Weaver underwater, which of course he eventually does. But no, I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the facehugger scene. It's 45 seconds long, which shows how much of this movie that I actually think is good. There's other parts that make me laugh and giggle and stuff like that. And there are parts of it that are goofy. But to look back on what part is actually good, I think the facehugger scene initially with the scientists, the eggs getting put in the cryo chamber, I think it's very sinister. I think it's shot, in a good horror type film way. Always love a good cut at the end to not actually show the true horror, but just let the audience imagine it as we go away from that scene. I think it's probably the only truly effective scene in the movie.
Yeah, honorable mention to where she sees the clones and destroys them.
I don't like it really.
Yeah, there's too many things that are weird, but it's
at that point of the movie. Again, I'm gonna get back to where it's placed within the movie. At that point in the movie, it's so out of nowhere. That you're like, oh yeah, obviously she's the eighth, so we're going to have to get some explanation for that. But so much other stuff has happened that it just brings the movie to a dead halt, and then you don't leave it with any more sense of dread or whatever after. You're just like, oh, that happened.
Yeah.
All right, so do we have a character or actor playing a character, obviously, as they do, that we think is kind of the highlight of this movie? So who from the character perspective for you, Chris, won this movie?
So for me, I'm going with Santa Claus himself, Dominic Verrees.
What were you expecting, Santa Claus?
And that's to say because it's silly. I don't think he's necessarily good in this. It's a funny part of this movie, and I don't have a lot of great awards to give here. So I'm going to go for the most kind of silly and obnoxious performance. I'll give it to him. Honorable mention to ponytail scientist guy. What's
Dr. N.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty sinister. Oh, no. You mean Gettyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is...
Chris Kattan.
Yeah, Chris Kattan looking fella. That is Brad Dourif.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
He is...
Completely ridiculous.
Brad Dourif thinks he's in a very serious movie doing very serious
It's great. I mean, he
stuff.
goes for it. He's having fun. He's having fun. So that's my honorable mention. How about you?
So we haven't talked about... we've mentioned him a couple times, but Johnner, played by Ron Perlman.
Hellboy himself.
Does Ron Perlman ever look young? I mean,
No.
this is a younger version of Ron Perlman than at least I am used to. He looks exactly the same age.
Yeah.
But I think he's the only actor in this movie that realizes how shitty the movie around him is. And he's just trying to have fun. Like, every line, he gets some of the better, well, not better, but like some of the more memorable lines because of how outdated they are, basically. And it gets to just be a cool, tough guy that, doesn't give a fuck what he says. And definitely in all of his lines, all of his actions within the movie, I think Ron Perlman realizes I just have to have fun because this is going to be crap.
He has fun, and he's used to doing less than great movies.
Exactly.
This is kind of in his wheelhouse. And so, no, I think that's a great pick. That's a great pick. He's having fun and, just chewing the scenery, as they say.
So this is going to be the toughest thing to give away. The MVP of the movie. Do you have an MVP?
I'm going to punt. No, okay, I'll think of one. MVP. Well, I guess Sigourney Weaver, because she is the most important person in this movie. It wouldn't have been made without her. And so, I mean, she's fine-ish. Like, she doesn't do a bad job. And so I guess I'm going to give it to her.
I'm going to use my time allotted to discuss the MVP to talk about how bad Sigourney Weaver is in this movie.
Oh, touche.
I think this is so clearly a cash grab. She so clearly does not want to be in this movie. Compared to the previous 3 movies, she is not trying one bit to display any of the characterizations that they've given her, being this 8th clone that has occurred that has these xenomorph attributes with her. She's so wooden. She's doing basketball scenes because that's what she wants to do instead of actually being in this movie. Her interactions with the other characters are so stupid. Like, she basically just looks at them and goes like, you're an idiot, call, you're my new daughter. She's really, compared to the other movies, she's really bad in this. And it's a pretty disgraceful, from my perspective, exit for her from these first 4 movies. I mean, I sang her praises.
You did.
In Alien 3. You've sung her praises in the previous 2. She is just terrible in this movie.
She needs a way to pay for her 3rd house in the Hamptons, okay? I'm here to, I mean, I can't go that far, but it's not great.
I'll give an allusion to a movie franchise that we may do at some point in the future. But Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp. So there's the 3 movies that everyone kind of knows about as a part of the franchise. They made a 4th. In that 4th movie, it is the most cash grab Jack Sparrow. Like, Jack Sparrow is a crazy character in the other 3 movies. He's so bad in 4, and like Johnny Depp is just so checked out.
I love it.
Is basically just like doing karaoke for the character the entire time. Like, oh, is this the part where I say that thing that I've always said? And so this is basically Ellen Ripley's Pirates 4 Jack Sparrow.
It's a Mad Magazine parody.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great point. It is a cash grab. Now, was she important in getting the thing done? Do I love Sigourney Weaver in her all-leather suit? I do. But, not going to be on her wall of best performances. Her Mount Rushmore.
No.
Not gonna have Alien.
This one's gonna
Resurrection.
fall by the wayside.
All right, so then let's end it with what do you think? What's your rating?
I think this is so unsuccessful compared to the other movies. I mean, so I initially gave Aliens a 6.8. I adjusted it to into the 7s. I gave 3 like a 7.8. I gave Alien a 9.4. This is like a 5.2.
5.2.
I think I'm going to end up liking at least one of the AVP movies more than this at the end of the day. Those are probably in the running for a worse movie than this, but
Perhaps.
This is pretty low, 5.2.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 5.8 to slightly beat you in liking it a little more. And I'm gonna say that's mainly because of that sweet slam dunk.
Just Lola Bunny taking it to the hole.
Oh, I love it. So next week we're gonna be talking about Alien vs. Predator. Do you know anything about that, Luke?
I've seen the Predator movie. I have now seen 4 Alien movies, so I can only dream of what this would be like. I love Predator so much. I think Predator is like the better version of Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you don't have to compare them. I would rather watch Predator than Aliens. So I am excited to see these two, beasts of the outer worlds clash. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for? Xenomorph versus Predator?
It sounds like a marriage made in heaven, but remember...
Another unbelievable elevator pitch where they're like, well, where can we go with the Alien? We got to make another Alien movie. And someone was just like, what if we combine it with the other crazy powerful alien that we have?
Do you know that in Predator 2 there's a xenomorph skull?
I was not aware because I, as previously stated, just watch first movies in the franchise most of the time if I've heard that the second movie's bad.
Sure. So
I've only seen Predator. I've never seen any other Predator movie.
And that's how this whole crossover started. Was in Predator 2, they look at the trophies of the Predator, and one of them, they don't address it specifically, but you see a xenomorph skull. And remember, whoever wins, we lose.
Is Arnold in AVP?
You'll have to wait to find out.
Get to the chopper!
We'll see you next time.
Bye!